Alright, first and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Yahukakadash, double thanks unto the apostles and the elders of great mercy that surely rule well. Peace and blessings goes out to the Akim, throughout the four corners of this world that continue to push this word in all sincerity and with all diligence. This is Brother Matsina here once again from the Great Millstone Camp in Trinidad. And, I'm going to do a lesson here basically entitled, counting the cost. And it's gonna be the cost of our salvation, the process or the approach or the method in which we enter into the kingdom. Because as we read through the scriptures, if we look at from the beginning in Genesis, when you look at the forefathers, whatsoever they attained, especially Job, whatsoever they attained, it wasn't through ease and comfort, but rather through discipline and afflictions and sometimes persecution. And the Lord blessed them after, but their faith was tried. And the trial of your faith is something that one would, you wouldn't say it easy. It's a difficult thing during that time. But this is Luke 14 and verse 25. It says, "And there went great multitudes with him, and he turned and said unto them, If any man come to me, and hate not his father, and mother, and wife, and children, and brethren, and sisters, and his life also, he cannot be my disciple. And whosoever doth not bear his cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. For which of you intending to build a tower, sitteth not down first, and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it." So, when you, and I believe every brother could attest to this, that when you now enter into the ministry, when they came around and they listen, and you showing interest in pushing this word, the men that you were listening to would have told you that it's not something easy. It's not gonna be an easy ride. It's gonna be a ride full of ups and downs, full of ins and outs, full of good and bad timings. Days where you have and days where you don't have, as the Apostle Paul said, he learned to be based on a bong. Time when he was abased was when he had nothing, when he was going through the trials and tribulation, and then he would have had time that he had in abundance, where he would have been able to bless others as well. So all this is counting the cost, knowing whether or not you prepare your mind to go through whatsoever it takes in order to make it to the end. Whether you could take losing, as verse 26, "If any man come to me and hate not his father and mother and wife," that doesn't mean that you're gonna outright hate your parents or your wife or your children or your brethren and sisters. No. But when the time comes and you have to pick a side, you would have to pick the Lord's side. You would have to ignore what they want or what they're saying, and you would have to choose the Lord. These are things that you would have to prepare your mind to do when you enter into this ministry. So all that is part of the cost. You know, losing your wife, losing your job sometimes. You know, losing your home. Some men lose their homes. Some men lose their kids. You know, the uphill battle against Eve, where she has the state, the government on her side, and she decides to leave because, you know, she doesn't agree with what you believe in. She never met this man who was called on Yahweh Shai, and all of a sudden he called on Yahweh Shai, and he wanted to do this, and he wanted to wear a dress, and the usual rhetoric, the usual resistance from these women out here who want to control how a man should be. Well, guess what? Some of them, they're gonna leave. And if you ain't make up your mind that, hey, I gonna be in this, whether they leave or not, whether our parents like it or not, whether I have to lose my job or not, then they're gonna turn back into the world and they're gonna become a mockery. It says, verse 29, less happily after he had laid the foundation and is not able to finish it, all that behold it began to mock him, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. So you lay the foundation, you start, and you're not able to finish because you didn't count the cost. You didn't make up your mind to lose all for Yahweh Shai's sake. To be afflicted, to be persecuted, to be mocked, to be reviled, to be evil spoken of, to suffer loss, to be a martyr. All these is the cost. All these things are part of the cost. So if you count that, if you put that in the checks and balances, guess what? When that time reach and you realize, well, hey, this need to be done, and you didn't have that on the list, you know what's gonna happen? You're gonna say, nah, I can't continue this. I can't finish this. And that is why you see Ben going back into the world. In Luke 9, and verse 62, verse 61, I read from verse 61, it says, and another also said, Lord, I will follow thee, but let me first go bid them farewell, which are at my home. And Yahweh Shai said unto him, no man having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of power. No man. So the Lord don't want a man that, you know, he decides to build, and midway through building, you know, his mind get diverted, his mind get distracted, and he say, you know what, I should have done this before I came in, or I should have been doing this. In Sirach 2:1, it says, my son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. This is counting the cost. Prepare your mind, knowing that sooner or later you're gonna be tempted, you're gonna be tried, you're gonna suffer tribulation, you're gonna suffer anguish, you're gonna suffer pain, you're gonna suffer lust. It says, set thy heart aright and constantly endure, and make not haste in the time of trouble. So if you prepare your mind to suffer these things, or to suffer on the whole, then you ain't count the cost properly. You ain't count the cost properly. Luke 14 and verse 30. It says, 31, it says, or what king going to make war against another king sitteth not down first and consulted whether he be able with 10,000 to meet him that cometh against him with 20,000? Or else, while the other is yet a great way off, he sendeth an ambassage and decide conditions of peace. So likewise, whosoever he be of you that forsaketh not all that he had, he cannot be my disciple. As I said, you have to be willing to lose it all. It can't be like, I mind losing my job and I mind losing my car, but you see my house? Nah. Or you see my wife? Nah. Anytime you reach so far, leaving this. Or you see my children, right? Nah, but I can't handle losing my children. That means you putting your children above the Lord. That's why how shall I say, before he brought this parable, see, and hate not his father and mother and wife and children and brethren and sister, and and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple. The Lord don't want somebody that gonna second guess when that time reach. I'm gonna precept here real quick. 1 Peter 4 verse 1, it says, for as much then as Yahushua had suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourselves likewise with the same mind, for he that had suffered in the flesh had ceased from sin. Arming yourself likewise with the same mind is prepare your mind, knowing that the Lord suffered. The scriptures say, or Yahushua said, the servant is not greater than the master. How are you gonna suffer? So don't let anyone give you a false estimate. There is with these Christians will be giving people a false estimate. Yeah, you're gonna make it in the kingdom, but you could sow a seed and it could become prosperous. Hey, what the scripture say in Acts? Acts 14 and 22 says, confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, and that we must, through much tribulation, enter into the kingdom of power. So part of the cost is tribulation. Part of the cost is losing your family. Part of the cost is losing your home. Some men might lose their home. Some men might lose their job. Some men have to be martyrs. But if you arm yourself with a mind to suffer these things, when that time reach, you're going to turn your back on the Lord. Hey, but with that, I want to give all praises and glory unto Yahweh. Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kodash. Double unto the apostle and the elders of great mercy. Until next time, I say Shalom.